Hi, I'm Alastair Patton, and you're watching Alastair Reviews It. Good evening, gentle viewers. This weekend, me and my husband went to see 3 movies. The Post, 3 Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri, and The Shape of Water. So I'm your average moviegoer. I'm not some big film critic, you're just going to get an average moviegoer's perspective. After each movie, I'm going to give you a brief score sheet on how I think the movie did, based on story, character, and visuals. So this Friday, Zach and I saw The Post. It's directed by Steven Spielberg. Katharine Graham is the first female publisher of a major American newspaper, The Washington Post. With help from editor Ben Bradley, Graham races to catch up with the New York Times to expose a massive cover-up of government secrets that spans 3 decades and 4 U.S. presidents. Together, they must overcome their differences as they risk their careers and very freedom to help bring long-buried truths to light. Kate Graham was a real person. She's portrayed by Meryl Streep. I haven't seen every single one of Meryl Streep's movies. Maybe I'll just do a Streepathon. We'll go streeping! It was very interesting to see Meryl Streep play a meek character. Meek because although Kay Graham was the leader of the Washington Post, owned by her family, she was not brought up in a time or meant to lead a company like this. You can see this in a couple of scenes where they make how distinct it is between Kay Graham and the rest of the men, the businessmen, very striking. She'll be really prepared for a meeting, overly prepared, and you know that she knows her stuff, and she probably knows better than half the men in the boardroom, but at the same time she isn't confident enough to actually put herself forward because she doesn't feel comfortable in that men's world. So we also have to think that this movie is positioned in our own history at a time that seems intended to highlight the similarities between the media and the federal government today. There's a lot of clashing between the media and the federal government. Okay, Tom Hanks himself played Ben Bradley, who was the editor-in-chief for the Washington Post. So it's really interesting to see the dynamic between Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep in this movie. Whereas Meryl Streep is the owner of the Washington Post, Tom Hanks appears to be the boss as the editor-in-chief. There comes a really pivotal scene in the movie that you'll see where Meryl Streep, as Kay Graham, has to make a really tough decision. It's such a big moment in this film because she's a woman in this man's world. What I really liked about the film was 1, Meryl Streep's performance. 2, the insight it gave us into that time itself. I think they did a really good job of structuring that time and making it seem believable. And 3, the kind of dynamic we see between women, especially women in business, and the men of that era. So what I didn't like about the movie is that the movie itself was too long. It was hard to pinpoint a climax halfway through. Another thing I disliked about The Post was that it downplayed the New York Times role in the situation and definitely focused more on the Washington Post instead of the New York Times. Which is the point of the whole story and the characters, but I do wish they had showed more of the New York Times in its role. So having background knowledge about the history around this movie really kept me interested. If you don't have that background knowledge, then you probably won't be as interested, or you're going to be kind of lost throughout the movie. So my score sheet for The Post is, for story, 3.5 out of 5. For characters, 4.5 out of 5. Visuals, 3 out of 5. So for the next movie, I'm going to bring in a person who means a lot to me. He's my confidant. I'm a confidant. He's my husband. On Saturday, we watched 3 Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri. Is it Missouri or is it Missouri? I don't know.
It's Missouri, I think.
So this movie was written and directed by Martin McDonough. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. The movie stars Frances McDormand, Woody Harrelson, and Sam Rockwell.
I love Woody Harrelson.
This is the first movie I've ever seen Frances McDormand in, but she actually won an Oscar for Fargo, and after watching this movie, I can definitely see why. Let's get to the synopsis first.
After months have passed without a culprit in her daughter's murder case, Mildred Hayes makes a bold move, painting 3 signs leading into her town with a controversial message directed at William Willoughby, the town's revered chief of police. When his second-in-command, Officer Dixon, an immature mother's boy with a penchant for violence, gets involved, the battle is only exacerbated.
So what do you like about the movie?
Thought I liked this movie a lot. So I'd never heard of Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing. Never heard of that movie, and we wanted to go to the movie on Saturday because we decided we were gonna have a movie weekend. So on Saturday we wanted to go to the movies, but it was pretty late, and there weren't a lot of showings for movies that we really wanted to see. So we thought maybe we'll go see some random movie, and he asked me if I wanted to see that one. I watched the trailer, and I didn't even get through the whole trailer, and I was like, yes, let's go see that. I love true crime stuff, and it's about, like he said, this woman's daughter gets murdered, and she accuses the police department of not doing enough, and Frances McDormand, I don't even know how to say her name. She was fantastic in it. I thought she was really good. I kept hearing the Michigan accent that she had when she won her Oscar. Have you seen that movie?
No.
So the movie that she won her Oscar for, she has, I think it's a Michigan accent, and every time I saw her come on screen, I expected her to have that accent, and so I'm hoping everybody else didn't think the same thing. But the movie itself was beautifully done. In the beginning, I loved seeing with that first shot of the 3 billboards, and they were dilapidated, and it just showed them in the morning with mildew grass and all this fog. From there, you're drawn in.
It was actually in its own way a very beautiful movie.
It was gorgeous. The cinematographer deserves a friggin' award for this one. This is your show.
So I wanted to get into the actors. So we talked about Frances McDormand,
yes,
the angry lady of the movie.
Oh, she was so angry.
She was so angry.
I loved it. It was beautiful.
You just knew she was going to wreck stuff.
Angry. Well, her daughter was murdered, and nobody did anything about it.
Yeah, she was.
Of course, she was
so angry. And you could feel her anger too, and you could understand it. It was this is what I would have done.
She was almost like the white trash woman that everybody knows in their small town, who had kids really young and pretty much drank the entire time they were growing up. And that was what I thought of her. I thought that she was incredible. She was white trash up and down. But she was such a sympathetic character because she would you knew where she stood. She had a focus, and she had these emotions, these beautiful emotions, and this beautiful anger that really came out through Frances' performance.
Woody Harrelson. Let's get into Woody Harrelson.
I love Woody Harrelson.
So he played the chief of police for Ebbing, Missouri. And I think he did a fantastic job. This was definitely a role that was made for Woody Harrelson, I felt like.
I would say he did a really great job, but Woody Harrelson kind of does a great job in everything he does. But I also think Woody Harrelson is really good at playing Woody Harrelson. And I think that this role was pretty similar to every other role he'd done. He just did, with True Detective, when he was in that, I thought this was very, very similar. No spoilers on his character, though, right? Are you doing spoilers or no?
No spoilers. It's not a movie that's on anybody's side, honestly. It's a movie that really wants to get into the depth and make these 3D characters.
That's
three-dimensional characters.
That, and I thought that too. I did think that too, and we haven't talked about that. We haven't talked about that yet, but I did think that the movie, it's not giving you a certain person's side, because the main character, Frances, her character she's kind of a shitty person. So you wouldn't naturally be on her side, but you are on her side from the get-go, but then you also find yourself on everybody else's side too. So the movie, I think, just presents itself as, this is what happened, this is how this event affected everybody's lives. But I think the entire movie in itself was commenting on racism. It was commenting on alcoholism, and all of these sort of problems that are very prevalent in today's society.
That kind of goes into the last character I want to talk about. Well, the last actor I want to talk about, Sam Rockwell. I've seen Sam Rockwell in a lot of things, and I've never really liked him, but in this movie, I loved him. He played my favorite character. He was a horrible person.
Which is fucked up.
He was a horrible
person.
He was a racist. He was homophobic. He was misogynistic.
Yeah.
And yet, like, it wasn't so much of a redemption arc throughout the thing.
Don't say anything like that. I think
but you really, really get into understanding his character. You get into understanding why he thinks the way he does. And it doesn't portray him just as an evil, racist character.
He's not the token racist character for the movie. That's what I like about it. There are no token characters in this movie, and that's what I loved about it, because I love movies that really paint their characters. And when a filmmaker can really paint their characters without putting in a token character, it's fantastic. And there were no token black people. The black people that were in it were very well painted. Like it was a great movie. I loved this movie.
It was very fresh. For Zach, that's yes, you should definitely see it.
Yes, go see this movie.
So it was nominated. It was a big winner for the 2018 Golden Globe Awards, and it took home 4 awards itself, including Best Motion Picture Drama.
How many was it nominated for?
So it was nominated for 6 Golden Globes.
So 4. They got 4 out of the 6.
And they got 4 out of the 6.
It's pretty impressive.
So it was pretty good. And honestly, like, I did not want to watch it.
I'm
very glad I did.
Yeah, it wasn't even like a highly publicized movie, which is what I found really interesting, is that it was so good, but it wasn't that publicized. Like, I remember when Dallas Buyers Club, you saw that one, right? When Dallas Buyers Club came out, it was very publicized. Like, it was all about, like, the star power of that movie. And this movie has star power too, but I had never heard of it before we decided to go see a random movie.
The only thing I would say about the movie is I think it ran a bit long.
I disagree.
In my opinion.
No.
And I do think that the advertising and marketing could have been a bit better for the movie.
I think the advertising and marketing should have been better, but I didn't think the runtime was at all too long. I didn't think it was excessive. And the ending actually left me wanting more. I wish this is my criticism, is I wish it wasn't a movie so much as like a Netflix series or a show on HBO, because I'm so invested in these characters and they're gone now. So
I think it was good as a movie. I think it was, if you like gritty movies
with a strong female lead who have alcoholism and racist, sexual tendencies. This would be
you get Monster.
You get Monster in this one. Thank you for having me, baby. I love to see you doing your thing. Okay. Is it? Am I good to go?
Yes, leave. For 3 Billboards, story, 4.5 out of 5. Characters, 5 out of 5. Visuals, 4 out of 5. So on Sunday, we went to go see The Shape of Water. The Shape of Water was directed and written by Guillermo del Toro.
Eliza is a mute, isolated woman who works as a cleaning lady in a hidden, high-security government laboratory in 1962 Baltimore. Her life changes forever when she discovers a lab's classified secret, a mysterious scaled creature from South America that lives in a water tank. As Eliza develops a unique bond with her new friend, she soon learns that its fate and very survival lies in the hands of a hostile government agent and a marine biologist.
A girl portrayed by Sally Hawkins falls in love with this sea creature. This movie also has Octavia Spencer and Michael Shannon. I love Octavia Spencer, and I don't understand how Octavia Spencer isn't in more leading roles. She needs to be in a leading role. I mean, she's an Oscar winner. Like, I want to see her in her own movie. Like, she is awesome. When I first saw the trailer for this movie, I was like, why couldn't she have been the main actress? But then, after watching it, I definitely see how there was kind of a French feel to the movie that Sally Hawkins was essential for. I enjoyed the movie a lot visually. I think it was a beautiful movie. It was one of the most beautiful movies I have ever seen. And the settings, the sets for the movie, the costumes, the layout, the makeup for the actual creature was, I think, top notch. It's a world that only Guillermo del Toro can create. I thought the acting was great. I thought the script was good. And the only thing about that was the romance. The romance for me wasn't believable. Because the way it was sold to me in the trailer was that it was a romance between this sea creature and Sally Hawkins. And for most of the movie, it's not that. I would say you see that in about 15% of the movie. But most of the movie was about how we're going to solve the problem of this amphibious creature being in captivity. I think it could have had a bit more focus. I think it could have had a bit more romance. But it was still a good watch. It itself was nominated for 2 Golden Globes, winning for Guillermo del Toro as director. For Shape of Water, story, 3.5 out of 5. Characters, 4 out of 5. And visuals, 5 out of 5. Overall, I really like the movies. I do not think that they were a waste of my time. And if you've seen any of the 3 movies, please let me know in the comments down below. And if you've seen these movies, I want you guys to score them too, based on a 5 scale for story, characters, and visuals. Altogether 15 points. I hope you enjoyed my movie review, and as always, until next time, gentle viewers. Hey, are you a subscriber? Please subscribe. There's videos that you can watch. Watch the videos. Click on another video. Like to make you part of the Alastair Reviews family. That was really weird.